Well, I will go ahead and begin. I'm going to get started. We have an hour to work, and this workshop can be as long as 2 hours because there's a lot to talk about and share with respect to the self-massage. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name's Irene Lewis-McCormick, and I have been using the foam roller for self-massage since probably 2002. I started using it, I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I'll pause for effect. I usually get Des Moines, Iowa? I work at Drake University, and I teach and train for a variety of companies, and I do education. And when I was in 2002, I was working with NFL company, the NFL company, that was so stupid, the Minnesota Vikings. I was up in Minneapolis, and that's where I was first exposed to foam rollers. And at the time, I didn't really know what they were or what we used them for, and I learned. And so I very quickly realized that this could really be something kind of cool. And I didn't really know what exactly was happening or what I was doing with them, but I knew that they could be very beneficial and very helpful. And so at the time, I was also working as the athletic director at a fitness facility that is now a Lifetime, but it used to be Northwest Athletic Clubs. I don't know if you know that, but they had a huge presence in the Minneapolis area. And so, of course, the running club directors, when I said, I would like to do a program with your run club, you know, just 15 minutes post-workout, of course they're going to say yes to me. They're going to say no to me. I'm the athletic director. They're like, okay. Thank goodness. And so I was able to work with the runners with respect to some of the massage techniques that I'm going to teach you. And then from there, I just started to realize that there's a lot of potential here. And you have to keep in mind, 2002, 2003, we weren't really using foam rollers very much in a fitness setting at all. So I was actually using the white foam rollers. They're not quite as dense as the rollers that you're using right now, and they're a little bit more consumer friendly. These ones are really good product, but they're very dense. And so just like any soft tissue in the body, the more you practice and work with it, the more durable and it gets, you know, just like strength training, any tendon or tissue. So when people are brand new to foam rollers, a lot of times I would recommend that they use the softer rollers as opposed to getting on the really hard, dense ones like you guys are on right now, because I want to make sure that people have a good experience and they don't get a lot of stretch reflex and muscle spindle firing, and then they won't want to do it because it can, you know, be uncomfortable. So when we do the foam rolling, I'm going to give you some guidelines that you should be passing along to other people, making sure they realize that they should not be rolling on areas that causes immense amounts of pain, even though some people are like, oh, if it hurts, it must be right. It shouldn't hurt. Pain is a deal breaker, but mildly uncomfortable, that's kind of what we're going for here. And sometimes it's going to feel really good. So what I'm going to do with you is teach you a highly reproducible program right now. We're going to start with self-myofascial release using the tennis balls, self-massage in the foot. So if you're wearing a shoe, you could take it off. You might want to keep your socks on or take them off. You can figure out what experience is going to be best for you. A lot of times with the tennis balls, my programs are very informal. I walk into hot yoga, I've got a tennis ball in my hand, and I, put it down and I start doing what I'm going to do with you right now, and people are like, what is she doing? But it's really very helpful, and if you've never used the tennis ball for just releasing your foot, it's an amazingly effective experience. You can use a specifically adapted tool, like Trigger Point makes excellent tools for self-massage. You can use a tennis ball. You don't have tennis balls? Go to your local Parks and Rec, skim the outside of the court. You'll find all the dead balls. They'll be free. You can use those. It works perfect. You can also use a golf ball, but that is a much more dense, smaller surface area, so it's going to be way more intense. So it depends on what you want. So let's start with that, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what we're doing as we do it, okay? So I'm going to actually have you stand. I'll get up on the stage so you can see me a little bit better. And I'm going to have you just place your feet underneath your hips and just notice your feet. That's the one thing you want to help people do, is become more aware, so that when you do the exercise, you'll be able to compare and contrast a little bit easier. So just spread your toes and make sure weight is distributed evenly throughout both your feet. That's all I want you to do. Just take notice of that. Now pick a foot, right or left, and you're just going to put the tennis ball right in the middle of your foot, on the soft belly under arch of your foot. Push down. Try to squish the ball. For some of you, it's going to hurt. For some of you, it won't. And then just stay right in the arch, really fast. Rub. You want to create friction and heat. And like I said, if you're not wearing socks, sometimes you can feel this a little bit better, but it depends on what you want. Now go towards the medial part of your arch and push down. Does it hurt a teeny bit? Are you kind of going like, ooh? Yeah, it should feel a little bit like that. And then same thing, you're just going to rub. This is all you have to do. So when I'm doing workouts or teaching classes or working with clients, especially my own personal workouts, and I need stability from my feet, go ahead and put it under more of the front of the ball of your foot. Push down. Does it pinch a little bit? It should feel like it pinches just a bit. And then same thing, you're just going to rub really hard. My point is, if I'm in like a yoga class or Pilates, or there's going to be standing work, especially barefoot, this is the best way to begin, because you can prepare the foot. Now go to the heel and push down, and it won't feel as hard because this is a much denser area. It's that arch part that really hurts. And then rub. Now go ahead and stand down on that foot and just feel the difference. It's amazing. Do you feel that? One foot feels almost like it's connected to the floor, and the other foot's kind of like, I don't know what to do. So let's do the other foot. If somebody you're sharing with doesn't have a ball, for example, if you don't have a ball and somebody next to you does, do you want to let them maybe do this foot? If you want to, you can. You don't have to. I know it's only 6:45. Oh, you are quiet. Well, it'll get a little bit more noisy. I'll turn on some music and I'll take you through some guided meditation. I was kind of joking when I saw my foam roller on the schedule. I thought, oh great, they'll wake up, drink some coffee, and then they'll come into my class and fall back asleep again. Great, okay. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm doing the same exact thing.
If the client has plantar fasciitis, do you suggest?
Maybe. If they have plantar fasciitis, maybe. A lot of times when they go get a diagnosis, a lot of times if the practitioner is familiar with techniques like this, they will tell them to do this. In fact, sometimes what I tell people to do, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not an athletic trainer, I'm not a physical therapist, I'm not pretending to be one, but a lot of times I will say, take ice, freeze it in like a Dixie cup, and do this with it. I mean, it's tricky because it melts and it gets slippery, but it works. You can do that. So if they have the ability to do it, I recommend this as a preventative tool, for sure. Okay, so do you get the technique on this one? It's really easy. It's very simple to implement, but you really have to push into it, and a lot of times people don't want to. You got to push down really hard. See, right now it pinches, and I don't want to do it because it hurts. I mean, it's not a deal breaker pain, but it's not very comfortable. And now as I stand, I'm so much more stable. So when I create a column, which is my body, I am able to really root in and create a base of support that is much more reasonable. I feel like I'm really more stable. So it can be very helpful. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and grab the rollers, and I'm going to take you through the self-massage technique that I use with my clients in my classes. Now I'm going to take this off because if I wear a shirt or a sweater like this, or if people are wearing shorts that are not tight to their body, which is more often men, they will tend to find that the shorts will get all rolled up in the roller, and they don't like that. It'll be like all of a sudden their shorts, if they're a male, are like this around them, and they don't like that. So I always caution them, make sure you wear something you're comfortable with. So I'm just going to have you sit on the roller. This session will be very practical. I can lecture on a ton of different components of this, but let's just move and figure out how it works. So I'm going to start you with self-massage, and we're going to follow a very specific trajectory. So we're going to start on the glute, we're going to move into the hip, and then you'll see. And one of the reasons I do this is because I want this to be something that clients and participants can do on their own. I don't want them to need me in order to do this. And when they do this on their own, I want to make sure they're doing it right. So I give them a very specific pathway, and then if during the context of the work we do together or they do on their own, they want to focus on a specific area, that's perfectly fine. But they have kind of a planned, progressive manner in which they approach this. So what I'm doing right now is I'm stabilizing my body with my shoulder. My hand is in contact with the floor. I'm leaning back and I'm using my feet as a fulcrum. I've got all my weight loaded into one hip as opposed to both, and I am literally just finding the muscles in my hip posteriorly. That's all I'm doing. That's it. When people are learning how to do these things, and I know that you realize this, but I just want to remind us all, talk to them like you're talking to a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old. Simple terms that make sense so they can go, okay, I can do that. As opposed to, okay, the fascia becomes very jumbled and bumbled, and we need to make sure, I mean, they just want to work out. They just want to be skinny. They just want to be healthier. Give them tools that will help them to do that. So right now we're hitting deep muscles in the hip area. And I'm rolling probably about 3 to 6 inches at a time. I am rolling vertically right now, but I want you to realize you can roll laterally too. So once I find an area that I feel is a little bit more tense, the piriformis for some people, etc., I might be able to get into that area rolling vertically a little bit and then laterally and then moving back. Now you want to make sure you cue for proper draw-in positioning and shoulder stability, because people will do stuff like this on here. Especially the more intense it gets, the more they're going to draw down into their spine. And they're like, oh, you got to give me a proper draw-in position. So core stability, and if it starts to bother your wrist or your shoulder, just move your body or your hand around a little bit. For some people, these positions can be a little bit challenging. So that's the glute area. Does that make sense? I don't know, I spend probably 90 seconds to 2 minutes on each area, and then we move on. So now I'm going to go to the glute medius. So I'm going to turn the roller so you can see me a little bit better, and I'm just going to get lateral. I'm in the frontal plane. Again, I'm just moving through the side of my hip area, so my side glute. I know you know that, but sometimes when I say to my participants, okay, let's do the gluteus medius. What muscle is that? They don't always know that. So finding that hip area, and then not only moving vertically 3 to 6 inches at a time, slowly. You don't want to roll pin it. You want to move slowly, and that's going to be a little different for everybody. And then you're going to also move forward and back. So don't forget about that forward and back. And then, of course, this creates a little bit of tension in some of the muscles depending on who you are. So if you start to feel an area that's very tense and very tight, there's a couple options. One, definitely breathe. Make sure you're cueing people to breathe, because they'll hold their breath as soon as they experience tension. And then the second thing is, you don't want to get a muscle spindle fiber reaction. I don't want to have a contraction because I'm on a muscle tissue that is experiencing some tension that is beyond normal. So I try to help people understand that if they find an area they think they can manage a little bit, you know, like a knot, just sit on it a bit and try to push into it, see if you can release it. Try to relax the muscles around there. Okay, now we're going to move into the hip flexor area. So you're going to get prone, and some of you, when you do this, you're going to actually turn in such a way you can't see me anymore. It's fine with me, I just want to let you know that. So I sometimes do that with my people. I tell them, okay, you guys, you're going to have to turn around. You can do both legs at the same time, but I choose to do one at a time so I can focus on one at a time. So you can, there's lots of ways to do this, but I'm just following this pathway. So I want you to roll all the way from your ACS joint down to where your leg connects to your body. So you're approaching the quadricep, but you're not necessarily in the quadricep. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see this a little bit better. I've got my forearm down and my other hand, because my body weight is on one side, and I'm using my toes to create the fulcrum. And I'm just rolling from the ACS joint, I'm going down into the hip flexor area, and then as soon as I get down there, not only can I roll vertically, but I can roll laterally too. So right at that iliacus, I can just feel that, and here I am going, oh, right? And then I find an area that's a little bit more tense than others. I take some deep breaths, and I try to release that adhesion, and if I can't, I'll just work on it the next time. If you get anybody with excruciating pain, for me as a coach, that's a deal breaker. That's, okay, move on to another area. I know I'm talking a lot, but so now we're going to move into the quad. So you're going to have to crawl forward, and I would splay one leg. Now, a lot of people go straight to both thighs right on top of the roller, and that's fine. You can do that, but I feel like when you're teaching people how to use the foam roller, teach them how to focus on one leg at a time so they can learn the techniques, and then if they decide they want to save time and use both at the same time, that's fine, but I just want to make sure we approach everything. So I'm going to roll down the length of my thigh. Do not roll over a bone or a joint. You could damage or bruise. So I have to cue people, don't roll on your knee. I've had people roll on their knee. That really hurts. Yeah, that would really hurt. Now, if you internally and externally rotate your hip, you're going to get different aspects of your quad. So I've got my toes pointed slightly out, so I'm getting a little bit more of like the inner thigh adductor area. And if I keep going down towards my knee, I'm going to roll right on my vastus medialis. And if you guys cycle or run, that's going to hurt. But you need to be there. So get there. Yeah. Anything we do in the sagittal plane that requires some power, you're going to notice that. Can you feel that one? That teardrop-shaped muscle? I know, it's so good, isn't it? Now, as you move forward, your body will tend to lose its plank. So you're going to probably have to adjust your arms a little bit to make sure that you can get there. The quad is quite complex, and a lot of times in the context of a group fitness class, 1 hour time frame, or let's say I have 15 minutes to spend on self-massage, I can't spend that much time if I want to do the whole entire body the way that I'm doing it with you right now. That's why I give people choices on this first round, and then the second round, if there's an area they want to focus on more, they have the liberty to do that because they know where we're going. So now I'm going to turn, I'm going to get more on the lateral part of my quad, and this is going to take you into your IT band too. So I'm just getting sideways on the roller. I have my top leg in front for more stability. And a lot of times I have people and they have their back leg in front and they're really struggling to stay on the roller. So I tell them top leg in front. And I literally slap my thigh and they go, oh, because they don't realize that why they're so unstable. They don't have the right stability set up. And then from here, you're going to roll from the lateral part of your knee up to your hip. So this is your lateral quad as well as what we refer to as the IT band. For some people, this is excruciating. Don't do it if it's not right for you. Don't do it. There are some guidelines with respect to self-myofascial release and self-massage, especially now in the fitness industry. But I'm going to tell you, based on my research, there's not a lot of research. There's a lot of anecdotal research, but there is not a lot of peer-reviewed research. And if there is, it's on a specific muscle like the gastrocnemius, not the whole body. So there's a lot of opportunity here for you to do some things safely and effectively, and I hope that somebody will choose this as their doctoral thesis and maybe give us more insight. Okay, you feeling that? You loving it? Yeah. Let's move into the hamstring. So you're going to stay on that same hip. This is a pretty dense fibrous area, and again, I usually I'll get on both hips for this one because we're going to start moving into the other hip also. So just go right to your gluteal fold. Soften the knee. Again, your feet are going to be here. You're just going to have a hinge maximally in your hip. You can put your hands on the roller, and you can see I'm rolling relatively quickly. This area is really dense where the hamstrings originate, so you kind of have to spend a little more time right there. And it'll soften just a bit. You can probably already tell. Yeah. It'll soften just a bit. And then we're going to move into the hamstring on the same leg you've been doing. And there's 3 parts to that. So I'm just going to slide my hip down. I'm going to keep the one leg on here. Yes, you can use both legs if you want, but like I said, I'm just using one leg at a time. That's how I usually teach people, and then they can make decisions based on that. So you want to internally and externally rotate the foot, and that will get different parts, and you might have to scoot your body around a little bit. For some people, putting all that weight and load into their wrists and shoulders is really challenging, and I get that. So you can also kind of cheat it, like I've got my hips down, and I'm just kind of moving my body around. It's not going to be as intense as holding myself up against gravity like this, but it's still going to work. It's not going to work. And I'll show you one of my favorite techniques. It's super weird, but it really works well. And I just want to tell you, if you're going to do it, you better be prepared. Now you're anticipating what she's going to show us, right? I'll show you as soon as it's a hip flexor massage technique. So here we are in the hamstring, and be sure to internally and externally rotate, and not only vertically, but you can move laterally too. Mm-hmm.
Is it right that the cue is to make sure to keep the muscle relaxed?
You should keep the muscle relaxed, because you want, think about when you go get a massage. Have any of you ever done massage envy or anything like that? I mean, they want you to, it's exactly like that. This is just way cheaper. And then I'm going to go ahead and let my hips go, and I'm going to move into my calf. Now, I sometimes will start right here. See how I'm unloaded on the floor and I don't have any load at all in my wrist? Because it's kind of like being in plank pose for 4 minutes. That's a long time to be in plank. People's wrist gets, even your strongest people, they're going to have something going on if they do that over and over. So I start here just to kind of get them ready, and then I'll load up into my shoulders and wrists. And I do the same thing. I start with the rotation at the hip and foot, and I move all the way down towards the Achilles tendon, and I move all the way up toward the back of the knee, and I turn my foot, and then we'll do one more here, and then we'll switch to the other side. So you're going to stay with the leg, so from the knee down. And you can stack your feet for more intensity, both on the thigh and also the leg I'm going to show you right now. Try this part of your leg. This is really intense, actually. You got to keep your body in a straight line. You feel that? You're going to feel actually intensity like as far down into your ankles. This is really a good one too. And if you want a little less, just take that foot away, so your feet aren't stacked anymore. Very nice. Oh, I can feel the referral pain in my ankle here. All right, so let's try the other side. So now you know the pathway. So we'll start on our glute, and you're just going to roll right through the hip. Now, there are other body parts. You can actually roll and do self-massage for your whole entire body. But when I have the opportunity in this particular context to work with groups, I don't have a lot of time. Sometimes there are classes that are totally dedicated to foam rolling. I call it Relax and Restore Foam Roller Training. It's an awesome, like a Saturday morning class, like after your big 9 a.m. big workout that everybody likes to come to. This is a nice half-hour or 45-minute recovery. Recovery is really growing in fitness. People are starting to realize, oh, I don't have to work out super hard all the time. I actually do get to do something that's not going to make me beat myself up. So with that, I think people are more open to doing classes like this or taking these experiences. But these rollers still sit around the gym, and people don't really know what to do with them. For example, okay, I'm going to move into the glute medius now. So you can follow me, or you can stay on any area you want to. I went into a facility I was kind of new at. This was probably about a year ago. And I had noticed that in their group fitness studio, they had foam rollers like lining the whole wall. And I thought, oh, that's awesome. At the end of my bar class, I can do a 15-minute, foam rolling sequence. And so I had mentioned to the instructor, oh, cool, I can use these. No, those are to hold the iPods. I went, oh, okay, well, actually, this is a tool. Oh, it is? Yes. So clearly, if the instructors didn't know what they were for, none of the people are going to use them. Additionally, those white foam rollers, and you can get different products that are more durable now, especially OPTP makes some really good product. There's other companies that do as well. But the white foam rollers aren't super great for commercial use. I'm going to do my hip flexor now. And then I'm going to show you my hip flexor technique with the tennis ball. So these hard foam rollers are much more durable, and management knows that. So if you're a club manager and you want to buy product that's going to last a while, you're probably going to get a much more dense foam roller. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Well, unfortunately, if you've got people that are not accustomed to using the foam roller, they're going to get on this thing and go, that totally hurts. Why would I do that? So that's how come I like those softer rollers. The downside of them is they tend to dent a little bit faster, and they have to be replaced more frequently. And so from a management standpoint, I can see why they would want to invest in something that's a little bit more durable. The unfortunate downside is people won't use them. So it just depends. Now, when I really want to hit that foam roller, use the foam roller for my hip flexor, and maybe I need a little bit more because this is a pretty long, big product, so it's hard to get real specific. It's kind of like a platform shoe versus a high-heeled shoe, right? The surface area of the high-heeled spiky shoe is so much smaller, so there's way more force in that area. So sometimes if I really want to hit my hip flexor, and I'm not in my own home, it's going to look like this, so I just want you to know. So I'm in the gym or whatever, and I take the ball and I just put it in that area, and then I do this. So I just want you to know you will definitely get people that will look at you like you are insane. They might even call management on you. But it works really well. Just go right up against the wall. You can push your body weight into it. You can do that prone. It's going to hurt, because this is super small, but some people can do it. Okay, so once you hit that hip flexor area, it's probably pretty natural for you to move down into your quad, yeah? And then you can go right into the various aspects of the quadricep, and I tend to kind of work down the center, go to the inside of the knee, not rolling directly over the knee, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I go to the lateral thigh, and then that's when I go to the IT band area. Your head will tend to fall, especially when you're prone. Kind of the way people, when they do plank pose and they get really fatigued, their head goes boop, and so they go into spinal flexion in the cervical vertebrae. We don't want that either. So you're going to have to cue for proper spinal alignment the whole time. I'm talking a lot more than I would in my class because I'm trying to facilitate relaxation. But the purpose of you being here right now is to learn exactly what I'm doing, so that's why I'm talking a lot. Focus on deep, relaxing breathing. Just moving, you're trying to get more blood flow to these working muscles. Isn't that one of the hallmarks of cardiovascular exercise for performance enhancement, is more capillary intervention? I would venture to say that this is going to assist with that process, because I believe you're going to be able to get, massage has demonstrated more blood flow to muscles that are massaged. And that's basically what you're doing, massaging. They always recommend more hydration and water too, so it's a great way to talk about hydration when you're teaching this right here. It's a great opportunity to educate participants on not only performance benefits of training, but health benefits too. Now, once you move down into that IT band, if you want to take it into your hamstring area, so you'll just sit both hips down on the roller. You'll sit very tall with an engaged core. I always look for plank. It doesn't matter if I'm seated, prone, supine, doing a bent row. You can find my plank, can't you? That's what you want to cue people to do. So sometimes once they get to know me a little bit better, I can say, you guys find your plank. And then all of a sudden the heads will come up and they know, oh, she's trying to tell us we need to find better postural cues. So find your plank for me means that. Now there are ways in which you can make this a little bit more intense too. You can cross one leg over the other. When you're lateral, you can stack your legs and make it more dense and more, your body weight is greater on the roller. Does that make sense? It's pretty easy, isn't it? And once you do the one side of the body, when people learn that, they can do the other side of their body with your direction, but they can spend a little more time on areas that they want to spend time on. And that's what I want. I want them to get what they want from their time with me. What I'm going to do next is, after you guys roll just a bit, I am going to have you use the roller for spinal alignment and release. Now, the technique that I'm teaching you right now that you're doing is also a great way. If you can't do a standalone class on this technique, I would wrap up a 10 or 15 minute section of an hour group exercise class with these techniques. This is an awesome way to transition out of the workout. But you don't have a lot of time. That's how come you need to make sure you expedite the movements really well. In the May issue of Idea Health and Fitness, there will be an article in there on how to use the foam roller to end your fitness class. I know it's going to be in there because I wrote it. It's exactly what you're doing right now. And it's just some techniques on basically what I'm teaching you. So if I do the 45-minute or the 1-hour foam roller experience that I call Relax and Restore Foam Roller, I will usually start with self-massage, educational stuff, and then we'll take it into the next segment. And this is the segment most people want to come to the class for. You ready to try it? Okay. All right, nice job. Now I'm being an instructor again. We're going to start our spinal alignment. So I'm just going to have you push your roller to the side and just lie on your back. I need you to trust me. I promise I'm not going to come around or touch you or anything, but I will walk the room. Just let your roller kind of fall to the side, and you're just going to lie face up on the ground. Starting at your feet, just allow your feet to kind of open up and fall. They'll fall slightly to the side open. I know that you're relaxing your hip flexors if you just let your feet kind of externally rotate. Just let them fall out. Yeah. And then I want you to take notice of the backs of your legs, from your calves all the way up to your hamstrings. And just pay attention to how heavy they feel on the floor or how light they feel on the floor. Now move into your hips and low back area. And the same thing, I just want you to pay attention to the curves in your spine, especially your low back. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong, it just is. Just pay attention to where you are. Then your hands will be on the floor. You can have palms up or down. This will allow you to open up your chest and relax your shoulders. Now move into your neck, shoulders, and head, and just feel your body being supported by the floor. Take a deep, full breath that expands your rib cage laterally, and just let it come out your mouth softly. Try that one more time, trying to bring in as much air as you can. Pay attention to your tidal volume. Now I'm going to have you roll onto your side, and you're going to grab your foam roller and you're going to sit on the edge of it, and I'm going to take you onto your spine. You're going to get supine on the roller. Everybody should fit on the roller without a problem. I have had some people experience a little bit of dizziness, so if that's you, you can just let me know and I'll come and chat with you about that. So you're sitting on the edge. The wider your feet are, the more stable you are. So if at any time you feel unstable, you just need to open your feet really wide. If you want a little less stability from your feet, make them a little bit closer together. Also closer to the roller as opposed to further away will also influence stability. You're going to lie all the way back. Just allow your head to be supported. So you might have to figure out what you need to do in order to get where you need to go. So as you lie supine on the roller, just allow your arms to open up, your elbows to fall. Palms can be up or down. Make sure your head is supported. I'm going to get you started visually, and then I'll start walking around and I'm going to verbally cue you. So you've got a stable body on the roller, correct? Feet are wide if you need it. We're going to reach the arms, fingertips all the way up toward the ceiling. So your palms are going to be facing each other. Your hands are neutral. And we're going to scissor the arms. So let's drop one hand behind our head while the other hand comes down to the side of the body, and you're just going to alternate this movement pattern. This is called a scissor. Now you might notice that one arm falls back above your head without any issue or restriction, while the other arm is not quite as compliant. That would be perfectly normal. Your goal right now is to figure out which side of your body maybe has a little bit more mobility. And especially in this very fragile, delicate shoulder joint, we want to have as much stability as we can get that's reasonable, and as much mobility as we can achieve that is also reasonable. So don't force any of your soft tissue into any range of motion that isn't right for you. As you move your arms in this scissor, take deep breaths and pay attention to your breathing, and try to keep your elbows extended so we can move from the shoulder joint through the latissimus dorsi, not just the shoulder joint. Let's try 3 or 4 more passes, and notice whether you can touch the carpet behind your head on both sides evenly. And if you can't, it's okay. The goal is to become aware. Bring those fingertips back above your sternum, and just as if you were performing a chest fly exercise, but with long extended arms, just abduct horizontally. And then bring your arms right back up again. And just perform that several times. Try to stay in that plane of motion, the horizontal plane. If you need a little less range of motion, bend your elbows. I will take you there anyway. But right now your palms are going to be face in when they come together, face up when they go to the carpet, and only move through the range of motion that's right for your body. Try 2 or 3 more passes. If you feel like you can get a little more stable with your feet closer together, try that. Make sure you don't speed through these movements. Let's bring those fingertips together above our sternum again, and let's drop one arm at a time. So now you're unilateral. So one arm down and then up and then the other. You're going to feel a little bit more core engagement when you do this one. Check to make sure that you are moving through the horizontal plane, horizontal abduction this is called. As long as it's not painful at all, everything should be pain-free. Let's bring those fingertips back above our sternum together. Now I'm going to have you perform like a chest press. So your palms will face the same direction that your toes are pointing. And you're going to bring your elbows down to the carpet as if you're doing a chest press, and then back up again. Now you might notice you get a little more range of motion because the lever is shorter. So for some people this is a little bit better from the get-go, and for others this is just a little bit more variety. Think about opening up the anterior deltoid and the chest. This is an awesome sequence in a worksite wellness setting because this is a sweatless format. So people especially that have stressful jobs, who doesn't have a stressful job? Oh, I forgot, we teach exercise. We don't have a stressful job. Right, okay. It's really nice just taking 15 minutes out and going to the roller and performing some of these movement patterns. It brings breathing back to a focus. And then let's go ahead and bring those hands right to the floor. So let your elbows come down and bring your hands down. How many of you have ever made a snow angel? You're going to make one now. So you might have water bottles and shoes around you, just be aware of that. But if you can, start with your fingertips close to your body in contact with the carpet. And then as you move up, you might find that you have to externally rotate. Thumbs will go above your head. And if you can do this while you're in contact with the carpet, fabulous. But as you bring your arms closer to above your head, you notice you have to lift them off the floor, that's okay. Work through the range of motion that is right for your body. Don't force anything.
Are you trying to not flip your hands?
You have to, yeah, you'll have to.
Okay.
You'll have to flip them. You'll have a natural supination of the forearm as you perform this movement. Yeah, check in with your stability. Make sure your feet are aligned with your knees and your hips. They are wide if you need more stability, and they are more narrow if you need less. Try 1 or 2 more passes. And then bring your hands right to the floor, right next to your roller. And that your hands are going to help you with stability, because now you're going to be removing your feet. So carefully, keeping in mind that you're going to bring your feet off the carpet, so you don't want to roll off. If you do, it's not a big deal. You're not going to get injured. It's very close to the floor. But slowly bring your knees up into tabletop. Now, what I want you to pay attention to and cue your participants to do is they will tend to take their femurs way too far in. So I want you to take a peek and make sure your femurs are vertical. And then you've got a 90-degree angle at the knee joint, because people will tend to pull their knees way in. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should be doing something, right? Now, I'm going to ask you to do a toe drop. So stabilizing with your hands and or your abdominal wall, just lower 1 foot at a time. Bring your knees back to that 90-degree angle, and then come back down. So actually the knee stays at about a 90-degree angle. I misspoke, excuse me. When you bring your toes down, you're going to be moving through the hip joint. So the knee will stay flexed. You'll lose that 90-degree angle at the hip, but you'll come back up and find it again. And just move slowly enough that you can get engagement in the anterior core. You know, I get people sometimes that tell me, Irene, it's so hard for me to do this. You want me to like focus and relax. I mean, when I'm doing the shavasana at the end of yoga, you practically have to stand on my shoulders to get me to do that part, because, you know, they're so type A, they want to leave. You know, they're like, I'm out of here. But I tell them, you know what, it takes discipline to do that too. So getting up at 5 a.m. and running 6 miles takes discipline. Lying on the floor and breathing takes discipline also. Just because it's hard for you, then do it feeling hard. Challenge yourself to take chances and risks, even things we don't like. It's an important part of fitness. I think even more importantly for health. Let's go ahead and bring both legs up, and we'll change the lever a bit. So lengthen the knees. Now this may not be right for everyone, so if it's not right for you, just stay with the flex knees. We're only doing a few of these passes. Drop 1 leg at a time, straight lever. Soft knee if you want a little less. Totally straight extended knee if you want a little bit more. A combination of both, depending on who you are. But you have the option to make the choice. Let's try 3 or 4 passes. So you're doing like a scissor leg, using the anterior core to stabilize you, and your arms and hands as well. When you're ready, go ahead and drop both feet down to the carpet, and we're going to bridge up. So lift your hips, tailbone, up, 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 up until you get into your shoulder area, and then come down 1 vertebrae at a time. So bridge up, inhaling as you expand your chest, and then articulate your spinal segment down, 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 down. Now if you want to use the whole entire spine in 1 unit, you can do that. Do you want to use my roller? No? Okay. Excellent job. Come down 1 more time, load your body onto the foam roller. Now your fingertips are on the carpet, and you're going to drop your chin onto your chest and reach your fingertips to the sides of your knees. So this is spinal flexion. I want you to take a deep breath, exhale as you reach up for the outside of your knee, spinal flexion. And then all the way back down again. Inhale and then exhale as you lift. So you kind of create a little bit of compression through the spine and then back down again. So this is basically what most people call a crunch. You're just tucking your chin, reaching for the sides of your knees, and then you're letting your head come back down again. That's all it is. Now you can progress this and make it a little bit more challenging by decreasing your stability and your base of support. You could do this with one knee lifting. There's all kinds of options for you here. My goal is not to work the abs and do a bunch of crunches. It's just to go through some ranges of motion and engage the abdominal wall. Make sure you tuck your chin before you come up so you have full spinal flexion starting at the cervical vertebrae. Try 2 or 3 more of those. And release. Now I'm going to have you roll off, and you're going to take the roller and move it so it becomes, instead of being vertical on your spine, you're going to go lateral. So you were just on the floor, you're moving the roller. I've got a lot of equipment around me here, but I'm going to get you on the roller in such a way that you are on your hip area. So find your PSIS joint area, and you're going to roll on the flat part of the torso of your pelvis in the back. So you're not necessarily on your glutes right now, but you're actually on your pelvis. You're just kind of softening this tissue up. Now you want to engage your abdominal wall because you're about to move into the low back. So we're moving into the lumbar vertebrae. I haven't really had anybody tell me that this was a problem, but I'm sure there are people out there that this is not going to work for. So in order to be safe, you need to tuck your chin, hang on to your legs, and you just roll on the small of your back. Just think about relaxing and releasing tension in areas where you don't need tension right now. Now we're going to move up the spine just a bit, so somewhere between the bottom rib. Now if you want to support your head, you can. I'm also going to move my feet so I get a little more range of motion. So my bottom rib all the way up to the middle of my back. And I'm just tucking my chin for support. If I want a little bit more surface area in contact, I can open up my chest and drop my head back. This will also load a little bit more of your body weight into this area, so this is another option. Now I'm going to move up my spine a little bit more, so I'm just going to walk my feet away, and I'm rolling now like between my shoulder blades all the way up into my trapezius. You can support your head as much as you want to. And the more I lift my hips up, the heavier I get in my upper back. I don't want to roll on my neck. Do not roll on your cervical vertebrae. Think about taking deep cleansing breaths, relaxing breaths, opening and releasing. Now you're going to drop your hips on the carpet, and you're literally going to move the roller so it's on the base of your skull, not on your neck, but on the base of your skull. So you're actually lying on it like it's a pillow. You can hold on to the roller so that it doesn't move, and then just turn your head right and left. So you should feel a little bit of release in those little knobs in the back of your skull. It should feel really good. If you want to fully extend your legs right now, you are more than welcome to if it's right for your back. If you want to keep your knees bent, you can do that as well. I sometimes will take athletes here when I need to talk to them about their performance. So I get them into a relaxed state, and then I just kind of talk to them about how they're going to be successful. It's a simple technique. I'm not pretending to be a psychologist, but if you ask for standards, and if you tell people this is what you're going to achieve, They tend to believe it. Now lift your chin and move that rotation that you're doing through your head a little bit higher between your ears. So if you lift up your chin and keep going, rotating the neck side to side with your head, you're going to feel it a little bit higher into the muscles in your skull. And again, think about taking deep cleansing breaths, focusing on positive performance outcomes. You're preparing yourself right now for your next workout. Now when you're ready, you can take that roller out from underneath your head and just fully extend your legs. And then we're going to reassess from the very beginning when you were lying on your back to now. So start at your feet and your hips. So the feet are turned maybe slightly out, all the way up the leg. Notice how much contact you have with the floor, moving into the low back and the hips, and feeling the weight of your body being supported completely by the floor. Pay attention to where your hands are. Face up and open to receive. Palms down, closed to seal off. They're both good. Take a deep, full breath. Move into your shoulders and neck. Pay attention to the tension you might be holding and release it. Take one final deep, full breath. Let it go. And when you're ready, roll over onto your side. Rise. And you are ready to roll. Very nice, you guys. Let me see if I can answer any questions for you. You're so happy you don't have any. Oh, yes. Hi.
I just have a question, a little different related. Have you seen Ashley Black's Fascia Blaster?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
You need to Google it. But it's interesting. I started reading up on all the fascial release and all that stuff, and so she kind of uses it in conjunction with foam rolling, but it looks like a torture device. It looks like shower handles on a stick, and but it's amazing. And I mean,
wow.
You use it everywhere. It's easier. Someone else can do it too.
Oh,
for you,
right. It is. It's always nice when somebody else massages you.
But you can do it. But okay, you have
yeah, no, thanks for bringing that. I love the roller because you know what? It's a simple tool. It's not very expensive. There's lots of techniques that are, a little bit maybe more sophisticated. I realize this is relatively simplistic, but I think it works for a lot of people. And it's a great way to just get yourself into the thought process of recovery as part of your performance training.
What do you tell people that when the muscles are so hard that they sort of like roll over them and they foam? What do you tell them to do?
So if you have people that maybe they're so tense and tight.
Tight band, and they feel it, and they go onto it, and then they sort of like plunk right over it. What do you tell them to do?
Yeah, so her question has to do with if you have people that have like super tight muscles and they kind of, they're just not compliant. I usually just encourage them to keep trying. I mean, I'm not, a physical therapist or anything like that. So I just usually will work with people. I meet them where they are. And sometimes, do you ever meet people and work with people and you don't know what to do with them? I'm kind of like, So I would probably, with an individual like that, I would just try to work with, I'd find out what can they do that makes them successful. Okay, this area doesn't work, so let's find an area that does and start with that. Keep it small, keep it simple, and work and build from there. Simple, could you reproduce this? The handout that you can get online has got a lot of information about the cumulative injury cycle and just some techniques regarding how soft tissue muscle release can be helpful in a fitness setting. And then I've got pictures of all the self-massage techniques with a description. So in case you didn't remember or can't remember the exact pathway that I took you through, you don't have to follow that pathway, but why not? It's easy and it's easily reproducible and it's already here for you. And if you want to do something different, you can. But here's a great starting jumping off point for you if you want to. The spinal stuff is not in here, but I usually just start with the head and work my way down. So get them on their back. You will sometimes have people that experience a little bit of dizziness, by the way, when they get on their back. And there's a couple things that might be going on, but that would be a one-on-one conversation for you and that person. But for the most part, I've had lots of success. Even with people with fibromyalgia, I've had a lot of success on this with. So I hope it was helpful and meaningful to you, and I just want to thank you for your time, and I can take questions. Thank you so much.
I do have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I have one of those